Chapter 903. 903 The Emperor's Sword. Among the crowd, Lu Ming saw Di Feng. Di Feng, ranked 101st on the list of top 1,000 talents, was the descendant of martial Emperor Di. Di Feng's eyes glinted with killing intent when he saw Lu Ming. In addition, the demons of the Sky Demon Valley also looked at him with cold eyes. Lu Ming, Wang Yan said that he wanted to keep you outside. It seems like he didn't succeed. It just so happens that you're the person the martial Emperor Ancestor wants. If I cripple you and bring you back to the martial Emperor Ancestor, I'll definitely make a great contribution. A powerful aura emanated from Di Feng, as a sharp sword chi burst forth from him. As I said before, if you want to kill me, you have to be prepared to be killed by me. Di Yi's descendant, you should collect some interest first. Lu Ming's eyes darkened. Kill! Di Feng waved his hand, and 7 figures appeared behind him. The 7 figures were all men of sacrifice wearing black robes and carrying long swords on their backs. In reality, there were over 20 people in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. There were over 10 death warriors, and the rest were the young geniuses and genius characters. It was obvious that Di Feng was the leader. Each of the 7 death warriors had a cultivation at the peak of the 9th level spiritual ocean realm. The 7 of them worked together to form a battle formation that was seamless as they charged toward Lu Ming. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sword chi swept across, and the sword radiance was like a net that enveloped Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming struck out with his palm and the sword radiance was shattered. The huge palm force made the 7 men of sacrifice spit out blood and fly back. Devour! His left palm clenched into a fist and a terrifying devouring force erupted. The 7 men of sacrifice could not control their bodies at all and were devoured by Lu Ming. Their blood essence, true vitality, and even intent runes were all devoured by Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, they turned into 7 dried corpses. Everyone's eyes were filled with horror. Directly devouring people into mummies, this scene was too evil. What an overbearing demonic technique! A paragon from the Heavenly Corpse sect cried out in shock. The cultivation techniques of the Heavenly Corpse sect were all evil and powerful. Some of them could also turn people into mummies, but the speed was not as fast as this. It was too overbearing. Evil and crooked path must be cut off. Di Feng's voice was ice-cold, filled with killing intent. Buzz! The sound of a sword clashing rang out as Di Feng stepped out. A terrifying sword might burst forth, and a golden sword chi slashed towards Lu Ming. With 4 concepts surrounding him, Lu Ming struck out with his palm and collided with the golden sword radiance. Boom! A deafening explosion sounded, and the golden sword radiance dissipated. Lu Ming, you're quite capable, but you're still too inexperienced to fight me. Di Feng let out a long howl as a golden combat sword appeared above his head. A golden dragon was coiled around the hilt of the sword, giving off a mighty aura and endless sword light. 4 golden chakras were floating around the combat sword. Divine level 4th rank bloodline. The Emperor's Sword is a bloodline unique to the Di family. Lu Ming's heart stirred. It was said that the direct bloodline of the Di family, headed by Martial Emperor Di, had been passed down through the bloodline of the Emperor's Sword. Of course, the same bloodline had different levels. Some were level 1 deities, while others were level 2 deities. The power was also completely different. I'll kill you today. Di Feng's cold voice rang out. His body transformed into a ray of light, merging into the Emperor's Sword. Instantly, the sword chi soared into the sky, and the sword power was vast and mighty. The Emperor's Sword moved and the wind and clouds were split in half. The terrifying combat sword slashed down at Lu Ming's head, intending to split him in half. Di Feng was indeed very strong. His cultivation was at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual ocean realm, and the cultivation technique he cultivated was undoubtedly a divine level cultivation technique. With the addition of the 4th level divine bloodline Emperor's Sword, the power he could unleash was extremely terrifying. He could definitely fight with an expert of the 1st level of the spirit embryo realm. However, Lu Ming's current combat strength was more than just at the first level of the spirit embryo realm. Boom! Lu Ming immediately burst out with dragon energy, and scales appeared. He activated the prison's suppressing heaven technique and threw a punch at the combat sword. Clang! A melodious voice was heard. The Emperor's sword trembled continuously and was actually sent flying. The others were shocked. Di Feng, ranked 101st on the list of top 1,000 talents, was actually sent flying by a single punch from Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so terrifying? Could it be that he had already surpassed Di Feng? Kill! Lu Ming strode forward, clenched his fist, and punched the Emperor's sword again. World-slaying sword. Di Feng's furious roar came from the Emperor's sword. The sword power was vast and the killing intent was sharp as it charged towards Lu Ming. Clang! The sword and the fist collided, and the Emperor's sword trembled even more violently. Clang! Clang! Lu Ming swung his fist and attacked again. The Emperor's sword trembled continuously and the sword power that was spreading from the sword was weakening. Bang! In the end, the Emperor's sword exploded, revealing Di Feng's figure. His face was filled with fear and disbelief. Lu Ming's combat strength had surpassed him in all aspects. How was this possible? He found it hard to accept. Back at the Nine Dragons exchange meet, although Lu Ming was strong, Di Feng was 100% confident that he could kill Lu Ming. During this period of time, his cultivation level had increased again. However, he was not Lu Ming's match and was defeated. Why was Lu Ming's improvement speed so terrifying? So what if your cultivation is stronger than mine? Can't even withstand a single blow. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he strode forward, charging towards Di Feng. Buzz! Di Feng did not hesitate, turning into a beam of light as he flew towards the other side. Although there were many people at the entrance of the canyon, Di Feng was clear that none of them could stop Lu Ming. If they stayed, they would definitely be killed by Lu Ming. You want to leave? Have you asked me? Lu Ming stepped out, his body like a stream of light, chasing after Di Feng. Di Feng was terrified. He took out a 7th-level spiritual weapon, but it was broken into two by Lu Ming's punch. Boom! Lu Ming's punch was so powerful that it pierced through the void, causing Di Feng to spit out a mouthful of blood. Di Feng was even more shocked and desperately tried to escape. At this moment, a purple light was approaching them at an extreme speed. Wang Yan! Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. That figure was Wang Yan. Wang Yan, save me! Seeing Wang Yan, Di Feng was overjoyed and rushed towards Wang Yan with all his might. Lu Ming, you're not dead. Wang Yan was shocked to see Lu Ming. Previously, when they were crossing the abyss, he had given Lu Ming a fatal blow and even ordered the Death Warrior to snipe Lu Ming. Under that situation, the round platform had already collapsed. He concluded that Lu Ming had fallen into the abyss and died. He was naturally shocked to see Lu Ming. Whoosh! Like a purple flame, Wang Yan crossed the void and appeared in front of Di Feng. Lu Ming, you're really lucky. All right. Since that's the case, let me finish you off myself. On Wang Yan's body, purple flames danced. With Wang Yan as the center, it directly formed a black hole. Over there, other than him, it seemed as if everyone else's physical matter had been burned to ashes. I've said it before. I'll definitely kill you. Now that I've run into you, it's just right. Lu Ming's figure did not stop as he pounced towards Wang Yan. Compared to Di Feng, he wanted to kill Wang Yan more. A fist covered in scales flew towards Wang Yan. At the same time, Wang Yan also stepped forward and threw a punch. Chapter 904. 904 Chapter 904 Battling Wang Yan. The two fists collided, and the space kept shaking. Wang Yan's body trembled as he retreated 3 steps back. As for Lu Ming, he took 2 steps back. However, his arm was covered in a layer of purple flames. The terrifying flames were terrifyingly hot, as if they were going to burn Lu Ming's arm to ashes. Even with the protection of the scale armor, Lu Ming felt a piercing pain. The true war dragon technique circulated, and the four wills burst forth and condensed on his arm. A sizzling sound immediately came from his arm, and the flame was extinguished. What a terrifying flame! Die! You're courting death! Wang Yan roared as the flames on his body grew even more terrifying. He seemed to have turned into a man of fire, and even his hair was covered in flames. A dragon's roar was heard as Lu Ming released 2 more bursts of dragon energy. Wang Yan was very strong. His cultivation had already reached the great circle of the spirit ocean realm, and he was half a step into the spirit embryo realm. His intent had also reached level 3. At the same time, his bloodline was at the 5th level of the divine level, and the bloodline martial techniques he comprehended from his bloodline were also high-grade demigod martial techniques. It could be said that he was not much weaker than Lu Ming in terms of intent and martial arts techniques. His cultivation base had also increased by a large margin. Lu Ming's greatest advantage was his rich essential core and dragon power. With 3 bursts of dragon energy, Lu Ming was extremely powerful and his strength seemed to be endless. Boom! Boom! As he and Wang Yan clashed, a terrifying storm of energy swept out in all directions. For a time, it was difficult to determine the winner of the battle between the two. In the distance, Di Feng was extremely shocked. When Lu Ming was fighting him earlier, he clearly did not use his full strength. Yet Lu Ming was actually able to fight Wang Yan. Wang Yan was ranked 98th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Although he was only a few ranks higher than Di Feng, their strength was on a completely different level. Wang Yan was several times stronger than Di Feng and could easily kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. Wang Yan's heart was filled with shock. Each of Lu Ming's punches seemed to contain infinite power, causing his body to tremble and his qi and blood to churn. If it was not for the fact that his flames were extremely terrifying, causing Lu Ming to be wary and need to use a portion of his power to resist his flames, he might not have been able to defeat him. Who? Above Wang Yan's head, a ball of purple flame appeared. It was similar to Wang Haoxian's purple heavenly fire, but it was much more terrifying than Wang Haoxian's. 5 dazzling golden chakras flickered as Wang Yan used the bloodline fusion. The purple flames transformed into a purple flaming divine eagle that pounced at Lu Ming. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded and the bloodline of the 9 dragons emerged. Lu Ming's body moved and merged with the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Suddenly, he turned into 9 dragons. With a long roar, he pounced on the purple divine eagle. With a roar, the devouring power burst out and enveloped the purple godly eagle. The huge dragon claw grabbed at the purple godly eagle. The purple godly eagle flapped its wings, and endless flames burst out. At the same time, it reached out its claws to grab the 9 dragons. Instantly, a dragon and an eagle began a great battle in the sky. In the distance, Di Feng was shocked beyond words. How is that possible? Di Feng roared. Back in the battle of 9 dragons, Lu Ming had activated the 9 dragon bloodline. At that time, the 9 dragon bloodline was still in the form of a 5-clawed true dragon. Di Feng had seen it from afar. At that time, he was extremely shocked because he had seen Lu Ming use the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Lu Ming actually had 2 divine-level bloodlines. Later on, he even saw with his own eyes that Lu Ming's true dragon form bloodline had self-destructed its chakra. But now, not only had his bloodline, which had self-destructed his chakra, recovered, but it had also reached divine level 4 and transformed into the legendary form of the 9 dragons. All of this had broken his understanding. What dangers are there in this valley? Why don't you guys go in? Wang Yan asked. In front of them, a few huge figures blocked their way. They were a few huge demonic beasts. No, they should be fierce beasts. In fact, there was no difference between demonic beasts and fierce beasts. However, after demonic beasts had more contact with humans, they would understand the human language and could take human form. On the other hand, ferocious beasts were more primitive beasts. They were fiercer and disdained to transform into human form. This was a genius of the Sky Demon Valley. He had the bloodline of the ancient giant ape and was extremely powerful. He had definitely reached level 7. It wasn't even at the first grade of the 7th level, but above it. Hand over the 1,000-elephant fruit. The giant ape roared in anger and charged at Lu Ming with its huge palm. Bang! Pieces of wood flew everywhere as Lu Ming soared into the sky. At the same time, he waved his hand and a huge puppet appeared in front of the giant ape. Bang! It seems like I'll have to stop wasting time to cultivate every time I advance to the next realm. I'll have to purify my true yuan and intent realm to stabilize my foundation. Lu Ming pondered. Of course, Lu Ming would not abandon the heaven-defying function of the 9 dragons bloodline just because of this small flaw. At most, he would just spend more time to stabilize it. Lu Ming closed his eyes and began to condense his essential core and polish his artistic conception. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Lu Ming's essential core and concept had become pure and condensed again. The wind concept seems to be showing signs of a breakthrough. The concept was pure. Lu Ming could feel that the wind concept seemed to have touched a wonderful realm. Lu Ming immediately continued cultivating. Time passed day by day. In a canyon tens of thousands of miles away from Lu Ming, a shocking flame suddenly soared into the sky and a figure appeared in the flame. This figure was Wang Yan. Haha, I've finally broken through to the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming, the next time I see you will be the day of your death. Wang Yan laughed out loud, his aura extremely terrifying. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. After being injured by Lu Ming previously, not only had he fully recovered after more than 10 days, but he had also broken through to the spirit embryo realm in one fell swoop, causing his strength to skyrocket. That Lu Ming will definitely go to some strange places nearby to look for opportunities. This place is the closest to the Double Moon Mountain. I'll go to the Double Moon Mountain and stop him halfway. With that, Wang Yan's figure flickered and he disappeared without a trace. In a dark cave, corpse chi suddenly filled the air. The corpse puppet, carrying an ancient coffin, stepped out of the cave. Previously, Lu Ming had used an array formation to cut off his arm. However, the shocking thing was that the corpse puppet's arm was now intact, as if it had grown back. Furthermore, the aura on its body was extremely powerful. It was also the aura of the spirit embryo realm. That Lu Ming will definitely go to some secret places to seek opportunities. This place is the closest to the Divine Bird Cliff. I'll go to the Divine Bird Cliff to stop him. After saying that, the corpse puppet stepped out and disappeared into the sky. At an unknown distance away from Lu Ming, there was a magnificent city. The city was filled with 3-eyed gods. And NBSP, within a massive palace, a few 3-eyed gods were currently discussing some matters. These 3-eyed gods were all tall and sturdy, and their auras were powerful. It's been another 20 years, and another group of young people has come from the outside world to hunt down my clan. Damn it, they really think of my clan as a trial. And NBSP, die. A furious roar came from one of the 3-eyed god race members. Below, many of the 3-eyed gods were trembling in fear, not daring to say a word. According to the ancient records, in the outside world, our tribe is unrivaled, and the human tribe is nothing more than our tribe's food. However, our ancestors were captured and brought here, and they made our tribe into the training targets of the human youths. This is absolutely not allowed. I will kill them all, not leaving a single one alive. Pass down my order, all the regions should organize an army to capture and kill those human youths. Once they are found, kill them without mercy. The 3-eyed god above ordered. Yes. And NBSP, yes, your majesty. The other 3-eyed god race members also began to follow his orders. Naturally, Lu Ming was unaware of all these. He was still cultivating. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. Lu Ming had been in closed-door cultivation for 20 days. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes and a faint smile appeared on his face. The concept of wind had successfully broken through to the 3rd level. This was Lu Ming's first step towards the spirit embryo realm. It's been 20 days. The next step is to continue searching for those strange places and opportunities to obtain more fate value. Lu Ming thought. Chapter 908. 908 Paragons Everywhere. With a thought, the Book of Destiny appeared. Lu Ming's current luck value had become 2,500 points. This should be the increase from the 10,000 elephant fruits he seized last time. It had increased by more than 2,000 points. From this, it could be seen how amazing the amount of fate value one could obtain by searching for strange places and seizing opportunities. With a single thought, the Book of Destiny disappeared. Lu Ming took out the map that he had obtained from the three-eyed god and studied it. Within a radius of 100,000 miles, only the Double Moon Mountain and the Divine Bird Cliff are strange. It's very likely that there are treasures or opportunities inside. Lu Ming looked at the map for a while and kept it. Let's go to the Divine Bird Cliff and take a look first. Lu Ming randomly chose a place and flew towards the Divine Bird Cliff according to the marks on the map. The journey of tens of thousands of miles was soon completed. In front of them was a huge cliff that reached into the clouds. They could see it from far away. It was the Divine Bird Cliff. Lu Ming was about to fly over when two powerful auras burst out from the Divine Bird Cliff. Boom! With a loud boom, a figure rushed into the sky, his corpse chi billowing. Corpse puppet, he has broken through to the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's expression changed. He immediately restrained his aura and landed in the forest below to watch from a distance. At this moment, the corpse puppet's face carried a trace of fear and appeared to be in a sorry state. Corpse puppet die. A domineering voice was heard, and demonic chi soared into the sky. A young man in a black robe appeared and blocked in front of the corpse puppet. This youth's eyes were cold and his demonic chi was monstrous. His aura was much stronger than a corpse puppet that had reached the spirit embryo realm. Luo Li, don't you go too far. The corpse puppet roared. Luo Li, little demon Lord Luo Li. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he looked solemn. There were two supreme geniuses among the imperial guards of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, and they were blood brothers. Demon Lord Luo Tian, little demon Lord Luo Li, and demon Lord Luo Tian. Their talents were monstrous and extremely terrifying. They were ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. As for the little demon lord, Luo Li, he was not as talented, but he was still very terrifying. He was ranked 61st on the list of top 1,000 talents. Ah, what a joke. Weaklings can only say such words. So what if I'm bullying you? Today you will die. The luck value on your body belongs to me. Ha! Luo Li laughed as the black mist around him churned. His demonic might was extremely powerful. He took a step forward, and his demonic might completely enveloped the corpse puppet, turning it into a demonic territory. Charge! The corpse puppet didn't dare to fight back. Its corpse chi burst out and formed a sword light, trying to break through the demonic power and escape. Die! Luo Li shouted coldly as a black light burst out. The stunning blade light seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth apart. It was unparalleled and unstoppable. The corpse puppet couldn't even block a single blade. Its head was chopped off, and its corpse fell to the ground. However, the ancient coffin on the corpse puppet's back trembled and flew into the distance at an extreme speed. The human corpse transformation technique is useless in front of me. A cold voice came out of Luo Li's mouth. A blade light cut through the void and struck the ancient coffin. The ancient coffin exploded, and a skinny figure emerged from it. He was panicking and fleeing for his life. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This was the true body of the corpse puppet. The one before was just his refined corpse. However, the refined corpse was actually no different from a human. It could open its mouth and communicate with people, which was really amazing. A saber light slashed at the corpse puppet again. No! The corpse puppet roared, and in the next moment, it was directly cut in half by the saber light. The corpse puppet, ranked 96th on the list of top 1,000 talents, had been killed just like that. It was clear how brutal the battle of destiny was. This was only the beginning, and it would only get more brutal as time went on. It wasn't an exaggeration to call it the burial ground of the top talents. After Luo Li killed the corpse puppet, he waved his hand and kept the storage ring. Then, he looked in Lu Ming's direction with his demonic eyes. Lu Ming's expression changed. Could it be that he was discovered by Luo Li despite being so far away? However, Luo Li only took a glance and sneered. He then shifted his gaze and descended toward the Divine Bird Cliff. It seems like we can't go to the Divine Bird Cliff. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Luo Li's cultivation base was too strong. Compared to him, he was far behind, so he could only avoid him. He turned around quietly and headed in the direction of the Double Moon Mountain. Not long after, they were only a few thousand miles away from the Double Moon Mountain. Lu Ming concealed his aura and slowly approached. Who knew if there were any powerful geniuses on the Double Moon Mountain? Lu Ming had to be more careful. Boom! All of a sudden, a purple flame shot up into the sky from below and blasted toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed. He took a step back and retreated rapidly, avoiding the attack. A figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. Wang Yan. Lu Ming's expression changed. He realized that the aura on Wang Yan's body was extremely terrifying. It was not the aura of the spiritual ocean tier, but the spirit embryo tier. Wang Yan had also broken through to the spirit embryo realm. For a genius like Wang Yan to break through from the spiritual ocean tier to the spirit embryo tier, it was definitely not just a little bit of improvement. His battle prowess would skyrocket. Lu Ming, let's see how you die this time. Wang Yan's eyes were as cold as ice. Previously, he was severely injured by Lu Ming and almost died. He hated Lu Ming to the core. A mere piece of trash dared to seriously injure him. This was simply unforgivable. The flames on his body were several times more terrifying than they were 20 days ago. The temperature was so high that even the space began to distort. Even from a distance, Lu Ming could feel a sharp pain in his body, as if his entire body was on fire. Whoosh! In a flash, Wang Yan crossed the void and appeared in front of Lu Ming. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. A dragon's roar resounded. Lu Ming did not hold back at all and instantly exploded with all his dragon energy. 4 streams of dragon energy exploded. The vital essence in his body roared and 4 types of concepts swirled around. He activated the prison's suppressing heavenly art and threw a punch. Boom! A beam of fire soared into the sky and Lu Ming's body was sent flying. Blood spurted out of his mouth and he felt a sharp pain on his arm. The dragon scales were cracked by the flames and the surface of his arm was charred black. The fragrance of roasted meat wafted out. Too powerful. Wang Yan's battle prowess had increased by too much after breaking through to the spirit embryo realm. Even though Lu Ming's cultivation had risen to the peak 9th level of the spiritual ocean realm during this period of time, he was still far from being Wang Yan's match. His breakthrough was only a small breakthrough, while Wang Yan's was a huge breakthrough. It was incomparable. If Lu Ming had not broken through, he would not have been able to withstand a single punch and would have been seriously injured. I'm not his match right now. Let's go. Lu Ming turned around and cast the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the distance. It's not that easy to escape. You must die today. Wang Yan roared and turned into a flash of fire, chasing after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. However, in terms of speed, Lu Ming was still faster. The distance between the two of them was slowly widening. Damn it! Wang Yan roared. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. In front of him, an extremely sharp ray of light pierced through the air and flew toward Lu Ming. Chapter 909. 909 Trapped. It was a young man in black. His entire body was like a peerless divine weapon. Jiang Taichong. Lu Ming's pupils suddenly constricted. Jiang Taichong's rank on the list of top 1,000 talents was higher than Wang Yan's. He was ranked 92nd, and his combat strength was even more terrifying. Lu Ming had never expected to meet Jiang Taichung here. It could not be such a coincidence. It was highly possible that Jiang Taichung had met Wang Yan a long time ago and was lying in ambush in the nearby area, waiting for Lu Ming. "Ha, Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to run." Wang Yan laughed excitedly. "Lu Ming die." Jiang Taichung's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He swung his arm in the air, and a terrifying sword light came slashing at Lu Ming. With Jiang Taichung at the front and Wang Yan at the back, Lu Ming was in a desperate situation. With a wave of his hand, a puppet of the first grade of the 7th level pounced forward and was directly cut in half by Jiang Taichung's sword light. Jiang Taichung's combat strength was stronger than Wang Yan's. "I can only risk it all." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. The 9-dragon bloodline emerged, and Lu Ming used the bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons, which charged madly at Wang Yan. Roar! The 9 dragons roared as a terrifying devouring power erupted and enveloped Wang Yan. At the same time, 9 dragon claws stepped out in succession. The 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Transforming into the 9 dragons and using the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps was the purest form of the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps, and its power could be maximized. With 6 consecutive steps, a terrifying force was blasted towards Wang Yan. "You want to break through from my side? Laughable." Wang Yan's entire body was ablaze with flames as he sent out a terrifying flaming fist radiance. Boom! An earth-shattering boom rang out as the flaming fist radiance dispersed the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. However, the remaining power had already been reduced by a lot. When it landed on the bodies of the 9 dragons, their bodies trembled, but they did not care and continued to pounce towards Wang Yan. "You're looking for death." Wang Yan threw another punch. However, Lu Ming did not care about this punch. His dragon claw stepped in the air and he took another 6 steps. A powerful force blasted towards Wang Yan. It was a fight where he would risk his life. Boom! The terrifying fist force hit the bodies of the 9 dragons. In an instant, the scales exploded, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. A huge wound was blown on the bodies of the 9 dragons, and the hot flame force kept rushing into the wound. However, the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps also slammed down on Wang Yan. Wang Yan's expression changed as he was forced to retreat by the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Buzz! Buzz! The 9 claws of the 9 dragons stomped on the void. This time, it was extremely fast. The huge dragon body instantly turned into a stream of light, rushing past Wang Yan's head and flying towards the direction of Double Moon Mountain. "Damn it! Chase!" Wang Yan roared and chased after Lu Ming. Jiang Taichung did the same. One chasing and one escaping, the distance of thousands of miles was crossed in an instant. The Double Moon Mountain was right in front of them. There is indeed a powerful formation on the Double Moon Mountain. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Double Moon Mountain was formed by 2 mountain peaks that intersected like 2 moons. At the intersection of the 2 mountain peaks, there was a huge stone door that seemed to be a cave. However, the area in front of the stone gate was filled with formations. Previously, he had heard the 3-eyed god race mention the Double Moon Mountain briefly. In the next moment, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung had arrived. After the 2 of them arrived, they stopped with unsightly expressions. They had arrived a few days ago and already knew that there was a formation here. This little bastard is proficient in the Tao of inscription. This formation can't stop him. Wang Yan's expression was extremely ugly. "Watch me break it." Jiang Taichung strode forward, and a formation emerged on the ground at once. Saber lights that looked like crescent moons slashed toward Jiang Taichung. Jiang Taichung's palm kept slashing out. The sharp and terrifying sword light kept colliding with the crescent-shaped saber light. Buzz! Buzz! The sound of metal clashing rang out. After a while, Jiang Taichung returned with no success and retreated with an ugly expression. He could not rush in at all. At this moment, Lu Ming had already passed through the layers of inscription arrays and arrived at an open space in front. There was no formation in the innermost area. If you have the ability, then come in. Lu Ming turned around and looked at Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung with a cold smile. Damn it! Wang Yan bellowed. Unfortunately, there was a formation in the air, so they couldn't get in. Lu Ming sneered. He sat cross-legged and began to recuperate. Earlier on, he had transformed into the 9 dragons and received Wang Yan's punch head-on. However, he was still injured, and his injuries were rather serious. He needed to recuperate as soon as possible. Circulating his War Dragon True Vitality, Lu Ming began to heal his injured body. Outside, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung's faces were extremely gloomy. Lu Ming was actually recuperating in front of them. This almost made the two of them explode in anger. The array here has been around for many years and it's not very powerful. We just have to keep bombarding it and deplete the energy of the array. When the energy of the array is depleted, we can rush in and kill Lu Ming. Jiang Taichung took a deep breath to calm himself down and analyzed. Wang Yan's eyes lit up as he said happily, "Not bad, not bad. The formation here isn't particularly strong. We can definitely withstand it. As long as we keep bombarding it, we'll definitely be able to break it. Let's start." Jiang Taichung nodded. Boom! Boom! The two of them burst out with powerful auras and stepped forward at the same time, entering the area of the array. Immediately, a formation appeared, and countless crescent blade lights condensed and slashed toward the two. The two launched their attacks, clashing with the crescent blade lights. Lu Ming opened his eyes and took a look outside. He then closed his eyes again and began to recuperate. He naturally understood Jiang Taichung and Wang Yan's plan. However, at this moment, he could only recuperate first before thinking about other things. After a day and a night, Lu Ming's injuries had fully recovered. At this moment, Jiang Taichung and Wang Yan rested for a while before continuing to crack the formation. Lu Ming stood up and walked towards the stone door that was located at the intersection of the two mountains. Damn it! Seeing this, Wang Yan roared in anger. It doesn't matter. We'll block him from the outside. Even if he gets the opportunity, he won't be able to escape from our hands in the end. Jiang Taichung was much calmer than Wang Yan as he spoke. Wang Yan also calmed down and continued to break the formation. Lu Ming walked to the stone door, stretched out his hands, pressed on the stone door, and gave it a hard push. It didn't move at all. The stone door didn't move at all. Lu Ming stepped back, then took a step forward and punched the stone door. Boom! It was as if the entire earth was shaking, but the stone door still did not move or be blown open. It's so hard. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Chapter 911. 911 Killing Two Great Geniuses. Jiang Taichung stood in front of Lu Ming and Wang Yan rushed up from behind. Lu Ming had nowhere to run. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's expression was extremely calm. In fact, there was even a flash of killing intent. Something's wrong. For some reason, Jiang Taichung's heart suddenly jumped. He had an inexplicable sense of crisis, but he could not figure out where the sense of crisis came from. Lu Ming? Impossible. Lu Ming's cultivation level was not their match at all. Wang Yan was already closing in. At this moment, Lu Ming took a heavy step forward. Dense inscriptions appeared on the ground and a few large arrays appeared. You want to deal with us by instantly setting up a formation? Dream on. Wang Yan laughed coldly, but in the next moment, his expression changed drastically. No, this is a level 7 formation technique. How could you inscribe a level 7 formation technique in an instant? Wang Yan cried out in disbelief. An ordinary rank 7 alchemist could not inscribe a rank 7 formation in an instant. Only a rank 7 alchemist with profound spiritual power could do it. How could Lu Ming do it? Not good. Retreat. Jiang Taichung's expression changed drastically, and he was about to retreat. However, it was already too late. The formation glowed, and golden vines condensed and wrapped around Jiang Taichung and Wang Yan. Break! An extremely sharp aura emanated from Jiang Taichung's body. With a wave of his hand, sharp sword chi burst out and cut at the vines. However, he was only able to cut off a few vines. These vines were called golden vines and were formed by a level 7 primary formation technique. They were extremely tough and were impervious to fire and water. Wang Yan roared in anger as flames spread out in an attempt to incinerate the vines. Although he could do so, the speed was extremely slow. The two of them were entangled for a while. Lu Ming sneered and continued to inscribe the array. Countless inscriptions glowed on his feet and palms. Purple mental energy fire danced between his eyebrows. A 7th rank alchemist. He's a 7th rank alchemist. He has to get out. Jiang Taichung roared in horror and attacked with all his might. The vines were cut off one by one. A few golden vines array could not completely trap Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung, but Lu Ming's purpose was to stop them for a while, and that was enough. Buzz! On the ground, another formation appeared. This time, it was a level 7 intermediate array, the frost hunting array. Formations were generally divided into elementary, intermediate, advanced, and peak. For example, a level 7 primary array was sufficient to deal with martial artists of the 1st to 3rd level of the spirit embryo realm. If used well, it could kill a 3rd level spirit embryo realm martial artist. However, although Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung were only at the 1st level of the spirit embryo realm, their combat strength was enough to kill a 4th level spirit embryo realm cultivator. An elementary level 7 formation technique was not of much use to them. However, it was a different story for a grade 7 intermediate formation. A middle grade level 7 formation technique was able to deal with experts at the 4th to 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. However, although Lu Ming's mental energy was extremely dense and far exceeded that of an inscriber of the same level, he had just broken through to level 7. It was still impossible for him to inscribe a level 7 intermediate array in an instant. He would need some time. The time that the golden vine array had blocked Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung was enough for him to inscribe a level 7 middle array. Whoosh! Whoosh! Tulavir long spears made of ice appeared, exuding an extremely cold aura. They pierced through the air and headed toward Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung respectively. Boom! Wang Yan punched out with both fists, and a terrifying flame spread out, trying to melt the ice spear. However, to his shock, the ice spear only shrank a little after piercing through the blazing fist force and continued on its way towards Wang Yan. On the other hand, Jiang Taichung spared no effort to hack at the ice spear. Although he managed to block it in the end, it was still very difficult. A layer of white frost appeared on his body, and he trembled all over as if he was about to be frozen. Whoosh! Whoosh! To their despair, more ice spears were formed. This time, there were 24 of them. Each of them had 12 roots, and they went for the kill. The two of them tried their best to block, but the power of the ice spears was too terrifying. Although they managed to block it, they were both injured. But then, more ice spears appeared. Ah! Ah! Following that, two desperate screams rang out. Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung's bodies were pierced by a few ice spears respectively. Their bodies stiffened as they were frozen to the spot. No, don't kill me! Wang Yan cried out in fear. Although the Battle of Providence was dangerous, it was full of opportunities. No one had participated in the Battle of Providence, as they were all here to die. They all wanted to obtain great opportunities and boundless providence. Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung were naturally the same. They wanted to obtain a great opportunity in the Battle of Providence, obtain great providence, stand out from it, and surpass those stronger geniuses. How could they have thought that they were going to die less than a month after the Battle of Providence had started? How could they be willing? Wang Yan, have you forgotten what I said? I said I will kill you. Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. With a wave of his hand, the ice spear appeared and he struck again. No, no! Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung screamed in fear and madness, but they could not change the outcome. The ice spear pierced through the foreheads of the two. Then, the bloodline of the 9 dragons appeared. The devouring power burst out and devoured the two. It didn't take long for the refinement to be completed. Jiang Taichong cultivated the sword concept, which was not of much use to Lu Ming. When the time came, Wang Yan's fire concept would allow Lu Ming's fire concept to break through and step into level 3. However, Lu Ming's blood meridian did not improve. The prison-suppressing Steel's bloodline was at divine level 3, while the Nine Dragons' bloodline was at divine level 4. After refining it, Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief and stood up. The Book of Destiny appeared before his eyes. He noticed that the Book of Destiny's destiny had increased by 2,000 points. This was because after killing Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong, their own luck value had been taken away by Lu Ming. Now, Lu Ming's luck value was close to 5,000. Then he looked at the stone door. He had to break this stone door. Lu Ming began to inscribe the array in front of the stone door. This time, he spent half a day to inscribe a level 7 advanced array. Lu Ming could instantly cast a beginner level 7 array. However, if he was given enough time, he could even set up a top-notch level 7 array. The formation glowed, forming a giant hammer that smashed toward the stone door. The hammer condensed by a level 7 advanced array was many times stronger than Lu Ming's attack. Boom! The stone door shook violently as if it was about to be broken. Continue. One by one, the giant hammers formed and smashed against the door. Boom! Boom! The rumbling sounds were endless. After more than a dozen attacks, the door was broken open with a bang, revealing a dark passage. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He waved his hand and a puppet walked in first. Seeing that there was no danger, Lu Ming also stepped in. After the passage, there was a huge underground secret room. At this moment, Lu Ming burst out with dragon power. He turned around and threw a punch, which collided with the saber light. His body trembled and he retreated rapidly. "What are you doing?" Lu Ming shouted. "Restrain your aura and be sneaky. Kill them first." Ro Li snorted coldly, but a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Although he had casually struck out with that move, almost no one under the spirit embryo realm could block it. He did not expect that Lu Ming would be able to block it. Lu Ming's combat strength surprised him. A cold glint flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. These people were really overbearing. They were just suspicious and wanted to kill him. Fortunately, he was prepared. He sensed it the moment Luo Li made his move. Whoosh! Ro Li's demonic chi rolled and he swung his palm again. A black blade light was sent flying at Lu Ming. A purple flame flashed between his brows. Lu Ming waved his hands and an array appeared in the air. It formed golden vines that wrapped around Luo Li. Carving an array in the air? You're a level 7 alchemist. It seems that you've obtained the treasure of Double Moon Mountain. Die. Ro Li's killing intent surged as he roared and his blade flashed. Bang! Bang! The sturdy golden vine exploded in an instant, unable to withstand Ro Li's attack. Lu Ming took a few steps forward and waved his hands. One after another, large arrays appeared. They were all beginner level 7 arrays. However, Ro Li was too strong. With a slash of his saber, everything was destroyed, and all the formations were shattered. Peak of the 3rd level spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. Little Demon Lord Luo Li's cultivation was at the peak of the 3rd level of the spirit embryo realm, but with his combat power, even if he was 3 levels higher, it would not be difficult for him to kill an ordinary 6th level spirit embryo realm ancient martial art practitioner. He was simply too strong. And this was still in the spirit embryo realm. If he was in the spiritual ocean tier, it would be easy for him to kill enemies who were 4 levels above him. A grade 7 primary formation posed no threat to Luo Li. Kill! The pitch-black demonic blade exuded a terrifying aura. The formation was shattered, and Lu Ming was swept by a blade gleam. The scales on his skin were shattered, and one of his arms was almost chopped off. Bang! On Lu Ming's body, the array that had concealed his aura collapsed and his original aura was revealed. You are Lu Ming? Ha! My luck is not bad. If I kill you, the supreme leader of the Wang clan will reward me handsomely. Luo Li laughed as his demonic might surged. A terrifying saber radiance cut through everything, shattering the formation in front of him. The terrifying saber radiance then slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hands and 2 puppets rushed out. They were easily cut in half by the saber radiance. Lu Ming, you're out of luck to have run into me. You'll die today. Ro Li laughed. However, Lu Ming waved his hands and more than 10 puppets appeared, charging at Luo Li. They were all at 1st and 2nd rank of 7th level. Behind the dozen or so puppets were 9 puppets that looked like white birds. They followed the puppets in front of them and charged at Ro Li. The remaining 9 puppets were all at 4th grade 7th level. This was the highest grade puppet that Lu Ming had bought from the treasure pavilion. He could not control it if he had not broken through to become a 7th rank alchemist. Ro Li slashed with his demonic blade, and the puppets in front of him were cut into pieces. However, at this moment, the strongest puppet had arrived. Explode! Lu Ming spat out a word softly. Chapter 913. 913 Perfect Spiritual Ocean Tier. As Lu Ming uttered the word explode, the 9 4th grade 7th level puppets glowed and exploded. The puppets self-destructed. The 9 4th grade 7th level puppets self-destructed, creating a terrifying energy storm that surged toward Luo Li. Lu Ming turned around and used the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps to leave the place. Boom! 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 Ro Li's furious roar came from the violent energy, and after a few breaths, he charged out. At this moment he was in an extremely sorry state. His clothes were in tatters, and there were many wounds on his body that were bleeding profusely. His face was pitch black as if it had been burnt. He swept his gaze around, but there was no trace of Lu Ming. "Ah, Lu Ming, I'll kill you!" A furious roar came from Ro Li's mouth. Luo Li's killing intent towards Lu Ming was extremely strong. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and advanced at top speed. The self-destruction of the 9 4th grade 7th level puppets was powerful, but Lu Ming knew that it would not do much to Luo Li. It's still not enough to rely on the Tao of Inscription. Lu Ming furrowed his eyebrows tightly. His Tao of Inscription was already very strong, and he could instantly cast a level 7 primary array. If coordinated well, even an ordinary 4th level Spirit Embryo Realm ancient martial art practitioner would be killed by him. He had only just broken through to become a level 7 alchemist, and that was already terrifying enough. However, Ro Li was no ordinary warrior. He was a prodigy among prodigies. My martial cultivation has to break through to the Spirit Embryo Realm as soon as possible. Only then will I have the confidence to fight against prodigies like Luo Li. The breakthrough to the Spirit Embryo Realm was imperative. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, it was a piece of cake for him to deal with ordinary Heaven's favorites or even most of the God-level Heaven's favorites. However, the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents, and even those who were ranked higher, were all monstrous geniuses. They were too strong for him. After flying for 100,000 miles, Lu Ming landed and circulated his cultivation for a while. The injury on his arm was completely healed. Then, Lu Ming took a look at his luck value. It had exceeded 10,000 and reached 10,800. He had obtained the secret manuals from the Double Moon Mountain, and his luck value had increased by more than 5,000. I've finished exploring the strange land within a radius of 100,000 li. I need to go further to explore. Lu Ming pondered and chose the west. He flew toward the west. What? After flying for a while, Lu Ming's gaze suddenly stopped. A group of figures appeared in front of him. The three-eyed god race had a total of 100 or so people, and they were flying through the sky at high speed. At this moment, the three-eyed god also saw Lu Ming. It's those human youths. Kill them. Kill them. The moment the three-eyed gods caught sight of Lu Ming, they roared and charged at him. The strongest seems to be at the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Then, all of you will become my nourishment? Lu Ming's eyes flickered with cold killing intent. He took a few steps forward, and the inscriptions continued to seep into the void. Buzz. Buzz. The three-eyed god was extremely fast. In just a few breaths he was already close to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a heavy step in the void. Runes glowed and an array appeared. It condensed into sword beams and slashed forward. This was a level 7 array formation, and it was extremely powerful. Those three-eyed gods below the spirit embryo realm were instantly sliced in half, killed on the spot. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons appeared. With a roar, devouring power erupted. Their power had increased to a terrifying level. Chapter 914. 914 Chapter 914 Waiting. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was not over yet. He spent the next 2 days refining the remaining 5 nature fruits. His earth concept had improved to the middle of the 3rd level. However, the effects of the 1,000 elephant fruit are getting worse and worse. Lu Ming thought to himself. The effect of the 1,000-form fruit was the best during the first 5. The further he ate, the more his body seemed to be immune to the 1,000-form fruit, and the less effective it was. If he had more nature manifestation fruits and continued to eat them, the effect would be minimal. All 4 intents had broken through to the 3rd level. The next step was to form a spirit embryo. Condensing a spirit embryo was to condense the spirit ocean into a round shape, like a placenta. That was why it was called a spirit embryo. The spirit embryo could give birth to a spirit god. It wasn't that easy to form a spirit embryo, and it required a massive amount of energy. Lu Ming had a large number of raw gemstones on him, but he did not want to waste them. Weren't there many three-eyed gods out there? Why waste it? Lu Ming came out of the cave and found a very magnificent and more obvious mountain peak. Lu Ming began to inscribe the array on the peak of the mountain. The endless inscriptions kept entering the mountain peak. This time, he spent 2 whole days to inscribe a formation. However, this formation was a top-notch level 7 formation, and its power was extremely terrifying. After he was done, Lu Ming spent a little more time to inscribe some level 7 intermediate formations. Then he sat cross-legged on the mountain peak. He planned to wait here for the three-eyed god race. After all, the intent realm and true essence he devoured needed time to refine and polish. He might as well wait for the enemy to take the bait, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming sat on the peak of the mountain, cultivating quietly with his eyes closed. 1 day, 2 days, and the first 3 days there was no one. However, Lu Ming was not in a hurry. His essential core and artistic conception were slowly becoming pure. However, it was not enough. He still needed to condense and polish them rapidly. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days had passed. Lu Ming had been sitting there for 6 days. Buzz. And NBSP, whoosh. On the 7th day, there was the sound of air breaking. More than 20 figures appeared not far from the mountain. More than 20 figures were all young people. Some of them were young Heaven's Pride experts, while others carried long swords on their backs and were wrapped in black robes. They were men of sacrifice. These were the geniuses of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. There's someone on the mountain. One of them looked at the mountain peak and said. The others all looked towards the mountain peak. That person looks familiar. It's Lu Ming. That's Lu Ming. Someone shouted. It's really Lu Ming. I didn't expect him to be sitting on the mountain peak so openly. Brother Luan, why don't we attack and kill Lu Ming? The few young men all looked at a young man in armor. He was a god-tier genius from the Luan family, an ancient family. He was ranked 139th on the list of top 1,000 talents and was the leader of the crowd. At this moment, Lu Ming also opened his eyes and looked at the geniuses of the Ditian Divine Palace. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Lu Ming did not disguise himself since he was going down the formation. If the paragons of the other forces wanted to kill him, he would not mind killing them and obtaining their luck points. The prodigy of the chaotic clan frowned. Back then, at the 9 Dragons exchange meet, Lu Ming had displayed his powerful combat strength and was not much weaker than him. Now that more than half a year had passed, although he had made great progress, Lu Ming must have become stronger as well. He was not confident. Moreover, Lu Ming was sitting on the mountain peak openly. He had a bad feeling. Lu Ming is very evil. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. Besides, he's just sitting there. I'm afraid he's up to something. Let's leave Lu Ming's life to those stronger people. We just have to spread the news," said the chosen of the chaotic clan. The others were silent for a moment before nodding. Since the prodigy of the chaotic clan had said so, the others, who were weaker in battle prowess, naturally didn't dare to make a move. "Let's go, we're leaving this place," the chosen of the chaotic clan said. Then, the group flew forward and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. These people were really cautious. He had no choice but to continue waiting. However, in less than 2 hours, a loud sound came from the front. Lu Ming saw that it was still the young man from the Wan family and his group. However, at this moment, they were panicking and in a sorry state, running for their lives. Behind them, tall and burly figures were chasing them. Behind them, there were 500 to 600 three-eyed gods pursuing them. There were quite a few powerful beings among the three-eyed gods, and their auras were extremely terrifying. "Die, human! How dare you use us as your trial targets? Die!" And NBSP, kill! Kill! The three-eyed god race members all shouted as they madly pursued. They weren't using their full strength, and it was as if they were playing cat and mouse. "Stop playing around. Kill these ants as soon as possible and look for other humans. You'll be heavily rewarded for every human you kill." A deep voice rang out. "Yes." An expert from the three-eyed god race responded, and his speed suddenly increased. He soared into the air and charged in front of the chosen from the Wan clan, blocking their path. Those people were shockingly at the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. As for the youth from the Wan family, he was only at the Great Circle of the Spiritual Ocean tier. At this moment, he had a look of despair. "Hey, there's a human on that mountain. Go kill him." At this moment, the three-eyed god race noticed Lu Ming. The leader waved his hand, and a 1st-level Spirit Embryo Realm three-eyed god immediately rushed up the mountain peak and charged at Lu Ming with a sinister smile. "Die!" The three-eyed god's killing intent was icy cold. "You're the one who's going to die." Lu Ming stood up and struck out with his palm like lightning. Boom! This 1st-level Spirit Embryo Realm three-eyed god was split into pieces by Lu Ming's palm. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the perfected Spirit Sea realm, it was a piece of cake for him to kill an expert of the 1st-level Spirit Embryo Realm. The prison-suppressing heavenly art must be controlled properly. It can't be too explosive. Lu Ming secretly warned himself. As the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was upgraded to level 4 of the divine tier, the prison-suppressing heavenly technique's power had reached the level of a low-grade divine tier martial technique. Its power was terrifying. However, the amount of essential core consumed was absolutely unimaginable. If Lu Ming were to use the white hair prison destructive divine art at full force, his entire body of essential core would be drained dry in an instant. If he was not careful, he would not be able to release much power. Looks like I'll have to stop upgrading the prison-suppressing steel bloodline for now. I'll focus on upgrading the 9 Dragons bloodline. Otherwise, the power of the prison-suppressing heaven technique will be too strong, and my cultivation is too weak. It'll be difficult for me to use it. I'll think about it after I improve my cultivation. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. As for the chosen of the chaotic clan and the others, they were all dumbfounded. Lu Ming had actually killed a 1st-level Spirit Embryo Realm three-eyed god with one move. He was too powerful. His combat strength was definitely far above his. However, he would still die in the face of so many three-eyed gods. He's quite strong. All of you, attack him together and kill him. The leader of the three-eyed god race waved his hand, and 7 to 8 figures charged toward Lu Ming. No matter if they were in the spiritual ocean tier or the spirit embryo realm, no matter if they were in the 1st level or the 2nd level of the spirit embryo realm, or even stronger, they were all killed by the arrows in an instant. No! The leader of the three-eyed god race let loose a cry of terror as a vast aura erupted from his body. A terrifying black light that seemed to have the power to destroy the heavens and earth appeared. This leader of the three-eyed god race had a cultivation of the 7th-tier spirit embryo realm and was extremely powerful. However, under the attack of a peak grade level 7 formation, it was still useless. He was pierced through by the dense arrows and turned into a hornet's nest. A level 7 high-grade array could already kill experts of the 7th level spirit embryo realm and above, let alone a top-notch level 7 array. Lu Ming had spent 2 days to set this up. In the distance, the paragon of the chaotic clan and the others were all pale with fright, and their bodies trembled in fear. They thought of how they had wanted to kill Lu Ming previously. It was a good thing they were wary and didn't attack. Otherwise, they would have been dead. This Lu Ming is too powerful. He can actually set up such a terrifying formation. We'd better not provoke him in the future. If others want to kill him and get rewards, let them do it. The Heaven's favorite of the chaotic clan said with lingering fear in his heart. That's right. We can't deal with such a monster. Let's leave this place first and find other opportunities. Another person said in a low voice. That's right, let's go. Leave this place. After that, the young man from the Wan family and the others left the place carefully. And NBSP, at this moment, all of the three-eyed gods around the mountain had been killed by the formation. Lu Ming cast a glance in the direction where the youth from the chaotic family and the rest had left, but he ignored them. He was just a clown, and the highest he could get was only at the great circle of the spiritual ocean realm. Even if he killed him, he wouldn't get much. With the appearance of the 9-dragon bloodline, a violent devouring power burst forth, devouring the blood essence, energy, and intent runes of the three-eyed gods. Let's go and find a place to refine it. Lu Ming moved and left the place. He found a hidden place and started to refine. The surging energy was continuously converted into true essence and poured into the spirit sea. The blood essence was used to improve the bloodline of the 9 dragons. It's enough, there's enough energy. I'll start to break through to the spirit embryo realm now. Lu Ming circulated the true war dragon technique and began to break through to the next realm. The spiritual ocean tier was continuously expanding the area of the spiritual ocean. The larger the area of the spiritual ocean, the more Jin Yuan it could store. However, the spirit embryo realm was completely different. One had to condense the spirit ocean into a sphere, like an embryo. This was the spirit embryo realm, and as one's cultivation continued to rise, the area of the spirit embryo would become smaller and smaller, but it would become more and more solid, and finally give birth to a spirit god. Boom, boom, boom. The spirit sea started to shake and change its shape. Lu Ming had started to break through to the next realm. This process was slow and required time. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The spirit sea in Lu Ming's dantian had disappeared and was replaced by a huge ball. This ball was transformed from the previous spirit sea and was completely condensed from vital essence. A vast and powerful aura was emitted from the ball. Lu Ming's body also exuded a powerful aura. Spirit embryo realm, breakthrough. However, this was not the end. Chapter 916. 916 Great Improvement in Strength. Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the 2nd level of the spirit embryo realm in one go. His strength had skyrocketed and it was much higher than before. Lu Ming felt that his entire body was filled with energy, boundless energy. Roar! Dragon roars reverberated as the 5 golden chakras on the body of the 9-dragon bloodline shone. His 9-dragon bloodline had also been upgraded to the 5th level of the divine level. This was all thanks to the leader of the three-eyed god race, who was at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm. He was really powerful. Whether it was his blood essence or energy, they were all extremely powerful. Otherwise, Lu Ming would not have been able to have such a huge improvement. And the intent realms of wind, fire, and thunder are all at the peak of the 3rd level entry. I'm just one step away from the third level lower tier. The Earth Intent realm is also at the late stage of the third level entry. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with excitement. The function of the 9 Dragons bloodline was too heaven-defying. It allowed Lu Ming's cultivation base to skyrocket. It was entirely possible for him to cultivate a few more concepts in the future. This time, be it the will or the Zhenyuan, they have both improved too much. I can already feel that the will and Zhenyuan are a little messy. I can't devour them for a while. I need to spend some time to stabilize my foundation. Lu Ming pondered secretly. However, Lu Ming did not want to go into seclusion to condense all the time. He wanted to search for treasures and opportunities while slowly building his foundation. After all, 1.5 months had passed since the Battle of Providence. There was less and less time left. Lu Ming ended his closed-door cultivation and flew high into the sky. With a flash of his body and a burst of quintessential essence, Lu Ming's figure was dozens of miles away. His vital essence is too strong. With my current cultivation, I can definitely fight with little demon Lord Luoli, or even kill him. Lu Ming revealed a confident smile on his face. Compared to the last time he met Luoli, Lu Ming had improved a lot. All 4 intents had broken through to the 3rd level. With the advancement of the 9 Dragon bloodline, he had an additional dragon power. In addition, his cultivation had advanced to the 2nd level of the spirit embryo realm. His combat strength had improved too much. Whoosh! Lu Ming turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the sky. Next, Lu Ming searched for elixirs and precious materials while he built his foundation and stabilized his cultivation. Although Lu Ming's speed was not too fast, he still flew hundreds of thousands of miles. On the way, he met a few people from the three-eyed god race, but he didn't attack them. There were powerful beings among these three-eyed god race beings, and there were quite a few of them who were above the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm. And in the spirit embryo realm, it was undoubtedly more difficult to fight across levels. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he was confident that he would not be afraid of 7th level spirit embryo realm experts. However, it would be troublesome if he were to be surrounded by many experts of this level. Furthermore, his foundation wasn't stable yet. Even if he killed the three-eyed god race, he wouldn't be able to devour them, so he didn't make a move. On this day, Lu Ming was sitting cross-legged on a large tree, condensing his essential core and polishing his artistic conception. Suddenly, in the distant sky, 2 figures were flying forward at high speed. They were 2 young men, a man and a woman. Inscriptions glowed on their bodies. Xing Cheng flapped his wings and continued flying forward. However, they seemed to be in a panic and were in a sorry state. The Talisman Amulet Sect. Lu Ming's expression changed. This was the first time Lu Ming encountered a Talisman Amulet Sect disciple since he entered. The number of Talisman Amulet Sect members participating in the Battle of Karmic Luck was small to begin with, so the chances of encountering one were naturally small. However, the 2 Talisman Amulet Sect disciples were obviously running away with someone chasing after them. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 or 4 streaks of light streaked through the air and chased after him. They were 4 young men. From their clothes, they were actually from the Empyrean Heavenly Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect. The 2 forces had actually joined forces to pursue the Talisman Amulet Sect. Hee, you can't run away. Just come with us obediently. A paragon of the Heavenly Corpse sect, who was covered in corpse chi, sneered. This person had a cultivation at the Great Circle of the Spiritual Ocean tier. It had been more than a month and a half since the War of Providence had started. In such an environment, Lu Ming was not the only one making progress. Everyone was making progress as well. Many people's cultivation levels had also improved by leaps and bounds. When they first entered, only Wang Yan and the other top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents had a cultivation at the perfected spiritual ocean realm. Even Di Feng was only at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual ocean realm. But now, there were already quite a number of people who had broken through to the perfected spirit sea realm. There were even some who had started to charge towards the spirit embryo realm. and those heaven's favorites who were already above the spirit embryo realm naturally had a breakthrough. Everyone was improving, and if they didn't improve, they would be eliminated. Of the other 3 pursuing youths, one of them had a cultivation base at the perfected spiritual ocean realm, while the other 2 were at the peak 9th level spiritual ocean realm. The 4 of them were extremely fast as they approached the 2 talisman amulet sect disciples. "Let's go all out with them." The talisman sect's woman shouted angrily and stopped. More than 10 inscription scrolls appeared in her hand. Mental energy fire filled the air, and the inscription scrolls lit up. Attacks burst out one after another, attacking the 4 people who were chasing after them. Small tricks. A saber light slashed out. It came from a purple-robed young man from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The purple-robed young man was another expert at the perfected spirit sea realm. Without a doubt, this man was a god-tier heaven's favorite who had awakened a god-tier bloodline. His combat strength was extremely powerful. As the blade light flashed, the talisman sect woman's inscription scrolls were all destroyed. In the end, the blade light landed on the woman's body and broke her protective shield. The woman spat out a mouthful of blood and her body drifted back. "Junior sister hi." The talisman sect man supported the woman, his face filled with worry. Like I said, you can't leave. Just come with us obediently." The young man from the Heavenly Corpse sect stepped forward and sneered. The 4 young men from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect had already surrounded the 2 talisman amulet sect disciples. "Don't even think about it. You captured our talisman amulet sect's disciples just to help you crack the array in the ruins. That array is extremely mysterious and dangerous. Even if we were to crack it, there's a high chance that we'll die. The treasures we obtain in the end will belong to you. Don't even think about it." The talisman sect's young woman was extremely unyielding as she rebuked loudly. "Do you still not understand? Your talisman amulet sect's only purpose in participating in the War of Providence is to help us crack the formations in the ruins. Otherwise, we would have killed you long ago if we saw you. Why would we have kept you alive until now?" The purple-robed young man said coldly with an air of superiority. "Kong Mingshang, if you want to kill me, then kill me. I'll help you break the formation. After breaking this one, there's still the next one. I'll die sooner or later. Why don't you kill me now?" The young woman shouted coldly. Lu Ming was stepping in the air and walking toward them. The Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect can't break through the array formations with their half-baked Tao of inscription. Therefore, they have set their sights on the disciples of the Talisman Amulet sect. The 3 parties have joined forces to capture the disciples of the Talisman Amulet sect and help them break the array formation. I heard that some of the disciples of the Talisman Amulet sect have already died while trying to break the array formation. Hai Fei gritted her teeth and said. A sharp glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Chapter 918. 918 Meeting R.O. Li again. Not going? Sure, I'll kill you right now. And you're as beautiful as a fairy, this young master doesn't mind letting you have a good time. The little demonic lord stared at Bai Qixue with his eyes full of evil fire. If not for the fact that there were people from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse sect, and the Sky Demon Valley, he would have executed Bai Qixue on the spot. Bai Qixue's face turned pale when she saw the little demon lord's evil eyes. She did not dare to say anything. You guys go first and break the formation. The little demon lord pointed at 5 of them and said coldly. The 5 people's faces turned ugly and they sighed. He had no choice but to break the formation. If he did, he might still be able to survive. If he didn't, he would be killed. Previously, 2 Talisman Amulet sect disciples had gone against the little demon lord and were brutally killed by him. Who didn't know that the various devil lords of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace were cruel and merciless? As the 5 Talisman Amulet sect disciples walked into the ruins, the 3 parties from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace were closely watching them. After a while, light began to shine from inside. The disciples of the Talisman Amulet sect had already begun to break the array. But not long after, a scream was heard. "What's going on?" The little demon lord's voice spread far and wide. A Talisman sect disciple tried to break the formation but was killed by the formation. A disciple of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace came to report. "You're really trash," the little demon lord shouted coldly. Bai Qishue and the other disciples of the Talisman sect looked miserable. Among the four great powers, the Talisman Amulet sect was the weakest. Now that the other three powers had joined forces to deal with them, they had no way of resisting. "These Talisman Amulet sect disciples are too weak. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to break the array here." A young man in blood-red clothes and carrying a blood-red sword on his back said coldly from the crowd of the Heavenly Corpse sect. His name was the Seventh Blood Sword, and he was ranked higher than the little demon lord on the list of top 1,000 talents. "That's right. If we can catch one of the 13 candidates, the possibility of cracking the seal will increase greatly," one of the Sky Demon Valley's elites said as he licked his lips. "I don't know where those guys are. I haven't seen a single one these days," the Seventh Blood Sword said. "Not bad." The others nodded in agreement. As for the Talisman sect disciples who were killed while breaking the array, they were unconcerned. They even thought that the other party was trash who couldn't even break the array. The few of them were chatting when suddenly, their expressions changed and they looked towards the eastern sky. 3 beams of light flew over. When the light dispersed, 3 figures appeared. They were Lu Ming, Hai Fei, and Lu Guang. "Lu Ming, it's you, you piece of trash." The little demon Lord Luo Li was the first to speak, his eyes filled with anger. Previously, he had been injured by Lu Ming's puppet. He had wanted to tear Lu Ming's bones apart. He had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly appear here. "Lu Ming, it's him. There are 2 Talisman Amulet sect disciples with him." "Haha, there's actually someone who delivered himself to my door." The others all called out. This was especially so for the supreme talents of the Empyrean Heavenly Divine Palace and the Heavenly Demon Valley. They looked at Lu Ming with burning eyes. There would be a huge reward for killing Lu Ming. Lu Ming, what are you doing here?" "They want to capture our Talisman Amulet sect's disciples to help them break the formation. Hurry up and leave." Seeing Lu Ming, Bai Qishue cried out, looking anxious. There were too many paragons from the 3 forces here. They were too powerful. No matter how powerful Lu Ming was, he was no match for them. Lu Ming smiled at Bai Qishue and glanced around. A murderous look flashed in his eyes. Buzz. Buzz. In a flash, the supreme talents of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Demon Valley moved. They appeared around Lu Ming and vaguely cut off his escape route. "Lu Ming, I'll see where you can run to this time. If I don't skin you alive, I'm not called Luo Li." The little demon lord looked at Lu Ming coldly. "Didn't you want to break the formation here? I'll help you break it," Lu Ming said as he glanced at the little demon lord. "You can break it." The 7th Blood Sword's eyes lit up. Lu Ming stretched out his palm and a ball of purple mental energy fire danced in his palm. "A 7th rank alchemist," he exclaimed. More people's eyes lit up. "How is it? I'll help you break the array, but I have a condition. Release the other Talisman sect disciples." Lu Ming said loudly. "Let them go? That's impossible. Lu Ming, what right do you have to negotiate with us?" The little demon lord said coldly. Not bad. This Lu Ming is really an idiot. He actually delivered himself to our door. Just in time, we'll take you down. You'll still have to obediently help us break the array." A young man on Lu Ming's right sneered. This young man was called Quan Fei. He was also a peerless heaven's pride of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, ranked 109th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Now, his cultivation had already reached the peak of the first level of the spirit embryo realm. He was extremely powerful. Even though Lu Ming was a 7th rank alchemist, he was not afraid at all. He took large strides forward and closed in on Lu Ming. "Obediently surrender and help us break the formation." Quan Fei laughed coldly and strode forward, sending a palm strike at Lu Ming. This palm was extremely powerful. The huge palm force locked onto Lu Ming from all directions. Lu Ming turned his head and looked at him coldly. "Get lost." Suddenly, Lu Ming roared and took a step forward. Boom! The earth rumbled and the palm force that flew out collapsed instantly. Then Lu Ming slapped out. Pa! A slap landed directly on Quan Fei's face. Quan Fei let out a blood-curdling screech and was sent flying a few thousand meters away like a broken sack. He crashed heavily onto the ground and twitched non-stop. CSI! Gasps of shock could be heard as everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. A single slap had actually sent Quan Fei, who was at the peak of the first level of the spirit embryo realm, flying. How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so strong? Although he had been careless and did not use the blood meridian fusion, Lu Ming's combat strength was still terrifying. How dare you injure the geniuses of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? I'll cripple you now. The little demonic lord was furious. Demonic chi surged from his body. He took a step forward and rushed toward Lu Ming. He waved his palm in the air, and a terrifying saber light slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He was not afraid at all. He immediately burst out with dragon energy. His body was covered in a layer of scales as he threw a punch forward. Boom! The fist radiance and the saber radiance collided, causing a violent boom. Lu Ming and the little demon lord both took 3 steps back. Impossible! The little demon lord roared in disbelief. He had never expected that Lu Ming would be able to force him to retreat with one move. Even though he did not use his full strength in the attack just now. 4th level spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The little demon Lord Luo Li was stronger than the last time. He had broken through a level and reached the 4th level of the spirit embryo realm, 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. However, even if it was 2 levels higher, so what? Lu Ming was still confident. Around him, Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9, and Brother Li Tian, the Leaving Fire Sword, all the elites of the Sky Demon Valley, looked grave. Lu Ming's combat strength had exceeded their imagination. Chapter 919. 919 Only those with strength can negotiate. By Qixue and the other disciples of the Talisman sect were also dumbfounded. Lu Ming was actually able to fight against the little demon Lord Luo Li. This kind of improvement was too great. Kill! The little demonic lord roared. Demonic chi rolled around his body, and a blade light shot into the sky. Whoosh! A shocking saber radiance cut through the void and slashed toward Lu Ming. This blade was much stronger than the previous one. Let's see how you're going to block this. The little demon lord's cold voice rang out along with the saber light. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered and took a step forward. The aura on his body grew stronger, and a second dragon energy burst out in his body. Boom! Just like before, a loud boom rang out, and the energy roared. Bang! 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 This time, the little demon lord also took 3 steps back, while Lu Ming only took 2 steps back. The little demon lord was actually at a disadvantage. Everyone was shocked. Now, they had already seen that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 2nd level of the spirit embryo realm, while the little demon lord was at the 4th level of the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming could actually cross 2 levels and suppress the little demon lord. How was this possible? It was simply inconceivable. Who was the little demon lord? He was a genius among geniuses. Ah, die, die, I want you to die. 9 Deaths Demon Saber. The little demonic lord roared, his killing intent surging like a tide as he slashed out with his saber. Demonic might shook the sky, and the power was terrifying. You're not enough. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the little demon lord. Another burst of dragon energy erupted in his body. Lu Ming's strength had increased. With every punch he threw, the space shook violently as if it would collapse at any time. Lu Ming and the little demonic lord were engaged in a fierce battle. The entire area was shaking violently. Buzz! The two of them fought from the ground to the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Bang! Then, a figure fell to the ground at an extreme speed and stomped on the ground heavily, spitting out a mouthful of blood. It was little demon Lord Luoli. He was injured by Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood in the air and looked down at the little demon lord with a cold gaze. Buzz. And NBSP, whoosh. At this moment, Brother Lydian and the two powerful heavens favorites from the Sky Demon Valley surrounded Lu Ming in a flash. Luoli, let's attack together and take down Lu Ming. Brother Lydian said. Not bad. There's no need to talk nonsense with him. The sovereign of the Sky Demon Valley said. Sanguine Sword 7 and Sanguine Sword 9 also looked at Lu Ming with hostile gazes. Haha. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly burst out laughing. Lu Ming, what are you laughing at? Brother Lydian said coldly. Do you think you can take me down by joining forces? How laughable. If I were to fight to the death, I'm confident that I can kill one of you. Lu Ming's cold eyes swept across Brother Li Tian and the rest. They did not know why, but when Lu Ming's gaze swept across them, their hearts turned cold. They did not doubt Lu Ming's words. When Lu Ming was fighting with the little demon lord, although the little demon lord did not use his full strength and did not use blood meridian fusion, Lu Ming did not use blood meridian fusion either. Moreover, none of them knew if Lu Ming had any other trump cards that he had not used. If he had a stronger trump card, it was still possible for him to kill one of them in a desperate battle. Who would be willing to die together with Lu Ming? At the thought of this, their expressions turned ugly. I've already said that I'm here to cooperate. Let go of the Talisman Sect's disciples and I'll help you break the array. If one didn't have the strength, it would be a joke to talk about cooperation with the other party. One would be suppressed by the other party. It's impossible to let the Talisman Amulet Sect disciples leave. If we really let them leave, we might not be able to stop you if you play any tricks. Brother Lydian said. That's right. I can't let them leave, but I can ask them to break the formation with you. The Seventh Blood Sword said. He would let the Talisman Amulet Sect disciples follow Lu Ming to break the formation while they guarded the surroundings. This way, Lu Ming would not be able to play any tricks. Alright, let's do it this way. Release the Talisman Sect disciples and the Talisman Sect disciples who are breaking the array. Lu Ming said. Brother Lydian and the rest nodded. Then, they had the Talisman Amulet Sect disciples walk to Lu Ming's side. Zongzi. Lu Ming Zongzi. The Talisman Amulet Sect disciples walked to Lu Ming's side and looked at him gratefully. Lu Ming nodded and looked ahead casually. He said coldly, There's still one more person, why not let him go? Bai Qixue was still in their hands. We can't let this woman go. I can see that you have a special relationship with her. In order to prevent you from playing any tricks, she must be controlled by us. The little demon lord walked to Bai Qixue and said with a cunning smile. There was a cold glint in Lu Ming's eyes. These people were all geniuses. Each of them had deep thoughts and was very meticulous. Of course, they could not trust Lu Ming completely. Alright, let's go break the formation now. Lu Ming said and strode into the legacy site. The other Talisman Sect disciples followed closely behind him. Let's go, we'll follow him. Don't let him play any tricks. The little demon lord said, his eyes flashing with killing intent. He hated Lu Ming to the core. The paragons of the Heavenly Corpse sect in the Sky Demon Valley also nodded. The three parties left a few people to keep watch outside. They moved one after another and followed Lu Ming. The little demon lord even took action personally. He clasped Bai Qixue's shoulder with his fingers, not giving her a chance to escape. Lu Ming stopped after a few thousand meters. In front of them was an area densely covered with formations. This area was about 10,000 meters deep, and after crossing this area, they would reach the core of the palace complex. In other words, this 10,000-meter area was densely covered with arrays. Lu Ming took a light step on the ground and rows of inscriptions slithered forward like living snakes. The next moment, a complicated array appeared on the ground in front of him, shining with a colorful light. Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the arrays, searching for their weaknesses and thinking of ways to crack them. A moment later, he extended a finger and waved it in the air. Inscriptions flew forward and entered the array. Bang! Bang! Immediately, a few formations collapsed, turning into light and dissipating. Brother Lydian, the seventh sanguine sword, and the others' eyes lit up. In just a short while, Lu Ming had already cracked several arrays. There was hope for him to crack the array. At the same time, their eyes were filled with solemnness. Lu Ming's refinement path standard was beyond their imagination. Luoli, keep a close eye on this lady. Lu Ming is well versed in the art of formations. This place is full of formations. We have to be careful to prevent him from playing any tricks. Brother Lydian sent a message to Luoli. Chapter 920. 920 Breaking the Formation. I know. Don't worry. I'll look after her. Lu Ming won't have a chance. Ro Li nodded. Zhongzi, you're so powerful. At the side, the talisman sect's disciples cast Lu Ming looks of admiration. Some of them had already been trying to break the array for several days and knew how difficult it was to break it. In the past few days, many talisman puppet sect disciples had been killed by the array. However, after Lu Ming came, he had only observed for a short while and he had already broken a few large arrays. They knew that Lu Ming's understanding of formations far surpassed theirs. Lu Ming continued to watch. This time, he spent even less time. He waved his fingers and another array collapsed in front of him. Lu Ming realized that the formations that appeared in this world during the Battle of Providence were not particularly advanced, difficult, or beyond their abilities. It was as if he was doing this on purpose to give them a chance to gain experience. Lu Ming was filled with curiosity about the Battle of Providence. He had a feeling that there was a pair of invisible hands behind the scenes that were controlling everything. He shook his head in his heart. These things were not something he could think about now. It was useless even if he thought about it. It was said that the Battle of Providence was taking place in the other continents overseas. To be able to control the endless mainland to participate in the Battle of Providence. What was the use of thinking about such an extraordinary ability? Even a martial royal realm expert would train his sect's geniuses obediently in order to obtain the light from Providence. Don't those martial emperors want to find out the secret behind it? Of course they wanted to, but they just didn't have the ability to. Lu Ming cast aside the distracting thoughts in his mind and continued to crack the array. His speed of breaking the formation was very fast. As he broke the formation, he walked in. In just a day's time, they had advanced 3,000 meters. The little demon lord and the rest followed closely behind Lu Ming. Their eyes were burning with passion. This ruin was filled with so many formations. It must be extraordinary. The treasures inside must be extraordinary. If he could get it, it would be a great opportunity. Moreover, he would probably have a lot of luck value. They all revealed looks of anticipation. However, after that, Lu Ming's speed of breaking the array slowed down. The deeper he went, the more complicated the array was and the harder it was to crack. It took them 2 days to advance another 3,000 meters. He was still 4,000 meters away from the palace. Lu Ming spent a total of 5 days on the last 4,000 meters. In total, Lu Ming had been breaking the array for 8 days. At this time, they were only about 100 meters away from the palace. But here they stopped. In front of him, the formation glowed. There were flames, ice, lightning, poison gas, and so on that flickered continuously, blocking his line of sight. He couldn't see what was ahead at all. Lu Ming had been standing there for 3 hours. Lu Ming, what are you doing? Why aren't you breaking the formation? The little demon lord berated. I can't break the formation here. Lu Ming shook his head. You can't break it? The little demon lord and the others were stunned. Lu Ming, you'd better think of a way to crack it. Otherwise, none of you from the Talisman Amulet sect will be able to leave this place. You'll all die here. The little demon lord said coldly. Idiot. Lu Ming looked at the little demon lord and suddenly berated him. What did you just say? You bastard, what did you say? The little demon lord roared. Lu Ming actually called him an idiot? He was furious. As he pushed Bai Qixue away, Lu Ming threw out a few punches in a row to block Brother Lydian and the others, buying time and waiting for the escape route to change. Everyone exchanged blows, and the terrifying light drowned Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled violently as he retreated. Ah, damn it, stop him. The little demonic lord roared and charged at Lu Ming. It was the truth. He did not dare to rush into the poisonous zone now. Who knew if there would be any changes to the way out? He could only capture Lu Ming and ask him to lead the way. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming took a few steps forward and a formation appeared. He then punched out with both fists, sending out terrifying fist forces. He used his formation and martial arts to block the many heaven's favorites. Lu Ming, you won't be able to leave today. So what if you've saved the people of the Talisman sect? You have to stay too. Brother Lydian's eyes were cold. A flaming sword appeared in his hand, and it was emitting a shocking heat. This was Li fire, an extremely terrifying flame, not inferior to the Wang family's purple extreme heavenly fire. At the same time, Blood Sword 7 and Blood Sword 9's bodies glowed with a blood-red light. The blood-red sword light exuded a strong bloody aura, cutting through the void and slashing at Lu Ming. One of the Sky Demon Valley's elites transformed into a fierce tiger. His claws were like heavenly blades, cutting through the space and clawing at him. At the same time, the attacks of the little demon lord and a green-robed genius of the heavenly monster tribe arrived. When the 6 paragons joined forces, their power was shocking. The 6 of them attacked Lu Ming from different directions. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. Instead, he rushed in the direction of Blood Sword 9, who seemed to be the weakest. Boom! The punch landed on the blood-colored sword radiance. Blood Sword 9's body trembled violently and he continued to retreat. Lu Ming strode forward and dodged the attacks of the various geniuses. He ran towards the lightning zone at top speed. Not good. The lightning zone is the way out. He wants to go in. Stop him! Li Tianhe roared. Roar! The tiger roared and pounced on Lu Ming at top speed. However, Lu Ming's body paused and he retreated abruptly, avoiding the tiger's attack and dodging to the other side. Stay here! The little demonic lord shouted angrily, and the black saber light slashed at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's body paused again. Like a slippery loach, he dodged the little demonic lord's attack in a flash and dodged to the other side. His body was extremely agile, charging left and right, not fighting them head-on at all. In addition, they had to guard against the escape route and the array in front of them to prevent Lu Ming from breaking out of the encirclement. They were distracted and could not do anything to Lu Ming. Damn it! The 6 heavens favorites were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. As for the others, they could not stop Lu Ming at all. Once Lu Ming crashed into them, their bones were broken and their tendons snapped, sending them flying far away. Buzz! Lu Ming's figure flashed again and he rushed to the flame area. They thought that the flame area was the way out and hurriedly stopped him. However, Lu Ming's figure suddenly turned and he rushed toward the poisonous area. This time, Lu Ming shook them off and stepped into the poisonous zone. In a flash, his figure disappeared. This is the way out, charge in. The green-robed young man from the Sky Demon Valley was the fastest. He followed closely behind Lu Ming and rushed into the poisonous zone. However, as soon as he rushed into the poisonous area, he immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and turned into a green divine eagle. He only managed to rush out after using all his strength, but his entire body was green. He had already been poisoned. If not for his profound cultivation and powerful combat strength, he would have died inside. It was obvious that Lu Ming had been walking in circles with them just now to calculate the time. He had calculated the time well, and just as the time for the poisonous zone to become a path of survival was about to run out, Lu Ming rushed in. When the green-robed young man followed him in, the path of life had changed into a path of death. Lu Ming had already calculated all of this. Damn you, Lu Ming! Bastard beast, I'll kill you! The little demon lord let out an angry roar. Chapter 922. 922 Test, Precious Treasure. The rest of the people had ugly expressions on their faces as well. So many people had witnessed it, but in the end, Lu Ming had saved all the Talisman sect disciples. They could not even stop Lu Ming himself. If word of this got out, they would be embarrassed. Since the paths of life and death here are constantly changing, let's try them one by one. There are only 9 regions in total anyway. Brother Lydian said coldly. Yes, that's the only way. You go to the flame area, you go to the ice area. Immediately, Blood Sword 17 began to give orders to the men of sacrifice. The 9 regions were constantly changing. That was easy to handle. As long as 9 men of sacrifice stepped into the 9 regions at the same time, they would naturally know which region was the path of survival. The 9 men of sacrifice stepped into the 9 regions at the same time without hesitation. 8 of them died immediately, leaving only 1 man alive in the black fog. He disappeared in a flash. There's a way out, charge. The little demonic lord and the others all rushed into the black mist and disappeared. After Lu Ming stepped into the poisonous zone, he appeared in front of a palace in the next moment. There was no one in sight. The Talisman sect's disciples who had entered earlier, as well as the disciples from the other factions, did not see them either. It seems that the formation was randomly teleported to any corner of the palace. Lu Ming pondered. I hope that Qi Shui and the others don't run into the little demon lord and the others. Lu Ming knew very well that the array would not be able to stop the little demon lord and the rest. He only needed to send 9 people to try. Lu Ming immediately sized up his surroundings. There were palaces everywhere, and between the palaces, there were some small alleys. Following that, Lu Ming walked into the palace in front of him. There was nothing in the palace. It was empty. Shaking his head, Lu Ming walked along a small alley toward the other palaces. However, after walking for a while, he frowned. He realized that he had stepped into an array. This formation was like a maze, because after walking in his alley for a while, he returned to the original place. There was also a formation in the palace. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was happy. It was good to have an array formation. It was an advantage for the Talisman sect's disciples. Even if they encountered the little demonic lord and the others, they might have a chance to escape. Lu Ming immediately observed his surroundings carefully. After a while, Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. He took mysterious steps and walked forward. Half an hour later, he had walked out of the maze. In front of him, a huge palace appeared. The palace gate was tightly shut. Lu Ming went forward and pushed the door open. He walked in. The palace was empty, but there was a stone door in the innermost part. Lu Ming walked towards the stone door. Whoosh! Whoosh! All of a sudden, sharp air-piercing sounds were heard from both sides. 2 rays of saber light were slashing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure moved and dodged backward, avoiding the 2 saber lights. However, the 2 saber lights continued to slash at Lu Ming. A puppet. At this moment, Lu Ming realized that it was 2 puppets that were attacking him. The 2 puppets were in human form. Their bodies had a metallic luster and their eyes were golden. They were filled with a cold and emotionless aura. Each of them held a big knife in their hands and they slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique. 4 types of concepts swirled around his palms as he struck out twice. Clang! Clang! With 2 loud bangs, the 2 puppets were forced to retreat by Lu Ming. It's equivalent to the peak of the 3rd-level spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The 2 puppets were pushed back by Lu Ming. They stomped their feet and charged at Lu Ming again. Buzz! Lu Ming dodged and struck out 2 more palms. The 2 palms directly hit the 2 puppets, and the 2 puppets were smashed into pieces. Lu Ming strode forward and walked towards the stone door. No puppet came out to stop him. Lu Ming pushed the stone door open. There was a stone room in front of him. There was another stone door in front of the stone room. However, as soon as Lu Ming stepped into the stone chamber, 2 more puppets appeared and charged at him. This time, the strength of the 2 puppets had reached the 4th level of the spirit embryo realm. It was still easily dealt with by Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped forward and pushed the stone door open. Behind the stone door was another stone room, and in front of the stone room was another stone door. This time, a total of 9 4th-level spirit embryo realm puppets appeared. What's in front of us? These trials are like tests. I'd like to go and take a look. Lu Ming's mind raced as he launched an attack. In a short while, the 9 puppets were scattered by him. Sure enough, there were stone rooms below, and there were puppets in each room, and they were getting stronger and stronger. When Lu Ming reached the 9th stone chamber, the puppet that appeared had already reached the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. However, they could not stop Lu Ming and they were defeated by him one by one. After the 9th stone chamber, there were no more stone chambers. Instead, there was a passage. On both sides of the passage, there were metal puppets standing motionless with sabers in their hands. Nest, also, what level of strength do the puppets here have? They can't all be at the 7th level spirit embryo realm, right? Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. He slowly walked forward. Gotcha! All of a sudden, one of the puppets moved. Its cold, metallic eyes glared at Lu Ming. Bang! He took a step forward, the saber in his hand exuding a sharp light, and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming burst out with 5 streams of dragon energy and threw a punch at the puppet. Bang! With a dull thud, the puppet and Lu Ming were forced to take 6 or 7 steps back. Whoa, this is definitely a puppet at the peak of the 7th level spirit embryo realm. What powerful strength! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. You're pretty strong to be able to force me back. At this moment, the puppet suddenly spoke. However, its voice was cold and emotionless. What's inside? Lu Ming asked. There's a precious treasure inside. There will be tests along the way. Our strength will be adjusted according to the strength of the people who enter. The stronger the cultivation, the stronger we will be. Only if you pass the test will you be able to obtain the precious treasure inside. The puppet spoke, similarly emotionless. There are so many puppets equivalent to the peak of the 7th level spirit embryo realm. How can I defeat them all? Are you kidding me? Lu Ming looked at both sides of the passage. There were more than 100 puppets in total. He was speechless. With his current combat strength, how was it possible for him to defeat hundreds of puppets at the peak of the 7th level spirit embryo realm? If he were to burst out with his strongest battle strength and circulate the prison-suppressing heavenly art to its strongest, it was still possible to defeat 2 or 3 of them. However, after that, he would run out of true chi and would no longer be able to fight. This test was too difficult. He was only at the 2nd level of the spirit embryo realm, and the puppet that appeared was actually at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm, which was 5 levels higher than him. How many people could complete it? There's no need for you to defeat all of us. You just need to pass through this passage. The puppet spoke again. Chapter 923. 923 Chapter 923 Difficult Challenge. I just need to pass. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Passing and defeating were 2 different concepts. If he just had to pass, it would be much easier. Lu Ming carefully sized up the passage in front of him. Suddenly, he waved his finger, and all kinds of runes and formations appeared on his body. They were all support type, and with the array, Lu Ming's abilities had increased again. He moved and rushed toward the passage. He planned to catch them off guard and rush through the passage in one go. However, the puppet seemed to have known that he was going to attack. When Lu Ming moved, the puppets moved as well, and the sharp saber light slashed at Lu Ming. On both sides of the passage, the other puppets' cold gazes were also directed at Lu Ming. Nest, your reaction is so fast. Since the surprise attack had failed, Lu Ming could only force his way in with his actual combat strength. Buzz! He dodged the first puppet's saber light and flashed past its side, but what greeted him was even more saber light. Lu Ming punched continuously, clashing with the few sabers that were slashing at him. The powerful force made Lu Ming's body tremble, and the saber light was also hit back by Lu Ming. Buzz! Lu Ming used the 9 Dragons' heaven-stomping steps and charged forward. Unfortunately, the space was too narrow. He could not unleash the power of the 9 Dragons' heaven-stomping steps. He had just moved when the saber light in front of him slashed toward him. It surrounded Lu Ming and sealed off all the space. Lu Ming gritted his teeth. He could only wave his fists continuously and bombard the air. Even with the aid of the formation, it was still very difficult to advance. These were all puppets made of a strange metal. They were impenetrable and extremely hard. The most shocking thing was that they could use martial arts techniques. A puppet was more difficult to deal with than a human warrior of the same level. Lu Ming charged forward repeatedly, but he could only break through the encirclement of more than 10 puppets. There were still 80 to 90 puppets ahead. I don't believe that I can't make it. Lu Ming gritted his teeth. With a dragon's roar, the 9 Dragons' bloodline appeared. Lu Ming performed the bloodline fusion and turned into a 2-meter-long 9 dragon. Its 9 dragon claws swiped in all directions, sweeping away the saber light. After transforming into the 9 dragons, his combat strength had increased again, and the speed of his charge had increased once again. Boom, boom, boom! Terrifying rumbles came from the tunnel and reverberated in the air. After a full half an hour, Lu Ming successfully rushed through the passage. As soon as they rushed through the passage, the puppets quieted down and stood on the 2 sides of the passage, motionless. I'm so tired. Lu Ming sat on the ground, panting heavily. Lu Ming's essential core was completely depleted after he rushed through the passage. Fortunately, he gritted his teeth and charged through in one go. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood. The difficulty was too high. How could an ordinary genius pass? However, Lu Ming began to look forward to it. The greater the difficulty, the greater the harvest. What kind of treasure would be inside? The puppet had said earlier that there was a precious treasure inside. Lu Ming's eyes were burning with passion. Let's first recover my true qi. Lu Ming took out a pile of raw gemstones and started to recover his essential core. 3 hours later, Lu Ming's essential core had recovered to its peak and he was filled with energy again. Then, Lu Ming stepped forward. Buzz! He had only walked a few dozen meters when dense inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a large array. It condensed into flaming dragons that pounced at Lu Ming. There's still a test. Is there an end to it? Lu Ming was so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. He could only clench his fists and bombard the air continuously. Boom! Boom! After a few consecutive explosions, Lu Ming retreated rapidly. This formation is so powerful. It's even more powerful than the golems from before. How am I supposed to pass through it? Lu Ming took a few steps back and a grave look flashed in his eyes. The flood dragon formed by the formation was too powerful, exceeding the power of the peak of the 7th-level spirit embryo realm. Furthermore, this was only the appearance of a single formation. There would definitely be more in front of him. This test was truly too difficult. Wait, I don't have to force my way through the formation. I can break it with the Tao of inscription. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Formations were different from puppets. Puppets could not be controlled by others, but formations could be broken. Lu Ming immediately looked at it carefully. After a while, he waved his hands repeatedly. Runes appeared and entered the formation. With a bang, the formation collapsed. Lu Ming took a step forward, but another formation appeared in front of him. Lu Ming continued to carve runes to break it. However, at this moment, under his feet, where he had just broken the formation, another formation appeared. Damn, didn't we already crack it? Why is there a new one? Lu Ming was depressed. He could only continue to inscribe runes to speed up the cracking. Bang! The formation in front collapsed, but there were attacks coming from behind. Lu Ming had no choice but to use all his strength to resist the attacks and break the formation at the same time. Just as he was breaking it, the formation that he had just broken appeared again. Lu Ming really wanted to vomit blood. This array would be condensed again after it was cracked. What else could he do? He had no choice but to grit his teeth and continue. In this way, Lu Ming blocked and cracked the attacks at the same time. This process lasted for a full 6 hours. Lu Ming was already half dead from exhaustion. He had used up a lot of his essential core, and even his mental energy fire was almost completely depleted. This won't do. There's no end to this formation. I'll break one, and another will appear. It's impossible to break all of them. I'd better leave. I'll be in danger once my true essence is exhausted. Lu Ming's mind was racing. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly realized that the array that he had just deciphered did not reappear. Could it be that the energy to activate the formation has been used up, and I can't continue to form the formation? Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up and he looked excited. He continued to break the formation. As expected, the next array that he had to crack would not appear. Since it would not reappear, it was much easier for Lu Ming. Not long after, he had cracked all the arrays and stepped into a secret room. No, I'm so tired. I'd better rest and recover first. Lu Ming panted heavily. He sat cross-legged, took out the rough stone, and began to regulate his breathing. A few hours later, he had fully recovered his true essence, but his mental energy fire was still very dim. Just now, his mental fire had been severely depleted, and it was almost completely depleted. Lu Ming activated the meditation and started to restore his mental energy fire. In this world, not only was the spiritual qi extremely rich, but the conception of heaven and earth was also very clear. Even sensing the nomological laws was much easier. By circulating his mental cultivation method, he could easily absorb the power of inscription in the inscription laws and increase the strength of his mental fire. After half a day, Lu Ming's mental energy fire became vigorous again. He had completely recovered. At this moment, Lu Ming stood up and sized up the secret room. This time, there were no puppets or formations in the way. He seemed to have reached the end. In the middle of the secret room, there was a picture scroll floating in the air.